The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. And this webinar is pretty interesting. This is the same webinar or a presentation I recently just gave to the Glass Build America. It's part of one of their Express Learning session that I gave last week in Atlanta. And it was a very short presentation, about 20 minutes. But today I want to give you a little more details. And what's interesting is I think most business owners, they mainly really only focus on the acquisition phase. So I really treat online marketing as three separate phases. The first phase is most people focus on just the acquisition phase, which is simply just trying to buy traffic or send traffic over to their website. But ultimately, we're not really after the number of clicks. It's once people get onto the website, we want to really focus on converting the traffic into actual phone calls or lead capture. So I think this is number two here is most of the business owners and agencies kind of neglected quite a bit. So that's why I kind of want to use this webinar to kind of educate you on what are some of these success factors after learning from or working on hundreds of accounts across US and Canada. By now we already kind of know what works, what doesn't work, and I just want to share with you what are some of the success factors. And I will be sharing with you the top 10 factors today. And we do have a 37-point checklist that we go through, but these are just some of the top 10 factors I'll be going through with you. And during this presentation, I will probably, just for fun, I will pull up a random website, and then maybe that's also audit their website together, because I'll be going through the top 10 factors. So maybe I'll just go on Google, and let's look for a replacement company, window replacement company in Denver. And how about let's pick Garvinas, and that's, for example, audit his website together based on my checklist. So the first one here, that really is one of the most important factor you should have on a website is call to action. Call to action is subliminally, no matter which page they go on your website, you want to tell them what they should do next, right? It might seem kind of not that important, but subliminally you really want to tell them what they should do. As a call for free in-home consultation, come visit our showroom. If it's not very clear, people do not know what they should do next. So ideally, that should be on the top right-hand corner. That's where most people's eyes are drawn to. And by having that on the top right-hand corner, no matter which page they go on, the call to action is always very clear. So first thing to audit yourself is to make sure no matter which page people go to, the call to action is always very clear. You can also supplement this with a get a quote or a get a appointment form. A lot of times people, especially if they're at their day job, they're in a cubicle environment, they don't want to pick up the phone and call you. They just want to fill a form and have you call them. And there's really a science behind these forms as well. The simpler, the better. And there's a rule of thumb of 7 fields. If it's more than 7 fields, there's very little chance of them filling it out. So ideally, the simpler the better. Ideally, all you need is just their name, phone number, and email. That way, it doesn't seem like you're asking for a lot of information from them. Some people ask a lot of questions. They also ask them for their address. But a lot of times people think, I haven't even talked to you. Why should I reveal my address to you? So seems a little bit of privacy there. So definitely, if you do have a form on your website, make sure it's as simple to fill out as possible. And you'll definitely, by decrease this, you might see a bump in number of people that are filling out the form. So ideally, definitely you want to make sure the call to action is very clear on the top right-hand corner, and also have a form for people to fill out. So as I said before, that's just kind of Yeah, I just randomly go on Google and then type in Denver replacement windows, and then let's take a look at Gravina. It's just for fun. So let's see here. What is their call to action? So over here I see call us today. That seems fine. Over here, get free estimate. Schedule your free no obligation consultation with a certified replacement specialist. That seems pretty good. So I can call them or I can get free estimate. So this most likely is just a form. So this is pretty good, right? But again, ideally, that call to action should be on all pages. So if I now, let's go to the Windows page. Let's see if that call to action is very clear. So you see that call to action is no longer very clear. It's just this one up here. So ideally, the call to action should be on all pages, no matter where you go. So it looks like it didn't pass this test here. Okay. Second here is unique selling proposition. Unique selling proposition really boils down to how are you different compared to your competitors. Because most likely, after they saw you online, they don't just call you, right? They will check out your competitors and see who to call. So if you're really upfront and tell them how you are different, most likely your engagement will really go up. So for example, there's a Brock Doors and Window. They're up in Toronto area, but they really put it in a graphical format as to how they are different. So for example, over 50,000 quality installations, over 25 years in business, more than 50 employees serving Greater Toronto area, and thousands of happy customers. So right away, before even scrolling down, this is called above the fold. Above the fold, they already outlined how they are different. So this is in the graphical format. Or you can straight and just really type it out as to how you are different. This is totally fine. So why Eastern State Home Improvement? More than 25 years. We offer long-term warranties, lifetime warranty, financing, family-owned, A+ rated, and just list super service award. So again, in the bullet point form, it's very easy for people to know how they are different. And it will be very safe to say after auditing so many websites, most people's homepage are very featured focused. They always talk about how what they do, very, very feature focused. So for example, let's look at Gravina's again and see whether they have any unique selling proposition on their website. So nope, they don't really talk about how they are different. So if I go on About Us page, again, let's see if they talk about how they are different. Right? So again, it's very feature focused. This is what we do, this is what we do. Rarely do they talk about how they are different. So definitely go back, look at our homepage and About Us page and see whether you really talk about how you are different. Next is credibility and social proof. And these days, I think especially for large ticket items, people tend to do a lot more homework rather than just call you. And typically they want to see how credible you are. So for example, on your website, you want to display all the review badges you got, any kind of awards. So for example, if you have a lot of good reviews on Milgard's dealer page, if you have a lot of good reviews on Yelp, you have a lot of good reviews on Angie's List and BBA+ rated, you want to show that off. Or if you have any logos, again, logos are great. You want to put that on your website. And also any kind of manufacturers that you carry. Those are also good credibility, social proof logos. And the other credibility signals I think are super important. After auditing quite a bit of websites out there, typically people want to look at before and after pictures. So the more, the better. And typically if I take a look at analytics report, the gallery page on a website typically is the top third or the fourth most visited page on a website. So make sure you have a before and after page, like a gallery page, and you try to put in as many before and after pictures as possible. Because first of all, people do love to look at pictures. And especially if they see a house that's very similar in style to theirs, they get to see the transformation. and get very high credibility. And the other types of credibilities are, of course, testimonials. So definitely keep adding more testimonials to your website, whether it's text-based or if people do send you like a thank you card, scan that in and put it on your website, even though it doesn't look pretty, right? The main goal here is not to have a pretty website, a high converting website. So you want to make sure that you scan as many thank you cards as you can on your website. Those do carry a lot more weight because it's handwritten. Or, which is a little harder to come by, but if you can, try to capture clients' testimonials on video format, right? And again, these days, same thing with pictures and videos. It doesn't need to look that nice. If your pictures are very, very well professionally shot, people might think it's a stock photo. Same thing with videos. So just taking pictures and videos from your phone is good enough, right? That way it actually feels a lot more real. It looks like even a video, it's not scripted. So definitely try to see if there's a way for you to get more videos, because people really do love to look at videos and it definitely carry a lot more weight. So that's credibilities. So that's, again, go back to Garvinas for fun and see what kind of credibility signals they have on their website. So it looks like they have BBB A+ rated. And again, this should be a button they can click on and go over to BBB A+ rated right away to look at the ratings. And then looks like they are Team Dave Logan. I'm not too sure who this is, but maybe in Denver people know that. And of course the badges, those work great as well. But nothing super strong, but let's see if there's any testimonials. Again, you can see testimonials is somewhat hidden. Ideally, it should be somewhere up here, very easy to find. So if I go on testimonial page, they do have some, but they're all text-based. So definitely need to supplement with videos and thank you cards. But other than that, I don't see there's no galleries, or it's very hard to find. Nope. Yep, so not super credible. And one thing I just want to share with you is next month we'll be talking about Yelp. Yelp is getting very, very dominant in online reviews these days. So I just want to share with you an example. So this is a HVAC company here in the Bay Area. But right away, if I see this badge, more than 100 reviews, it's super credible, right? And I can follow this link and go over to their Yelp page and then read just a few solid reviews. And then there's 100 other people say they're the best. So definitely, if you have good reviews on Yelp, you want to put a Yelp badge on your website and direct people to your Yelp page and have them read all the reviews on Yelp. And typically, people tend to trust the reviews on Yelp quite a bit because Yelp does have a very strong filter. Okay. So yeah, from a scheme of things, it doesn't look like they have a lot of credibility factors. Definitely room for improvement. Next, forms of conversion would be to add a business profile video onto your website. Typically, people, again, these days love to look at videos compared to looking at a lot of text. These videos should be about 1 minute in length, not longer. People's attention span seem to drop off around 1 minute mark. And these, if you're a dealer, these videos should have images, footages of your showroom, and also footages of the actual job site. So let me show you a quick example here. Okay, so let's look at Pelican replacing Windows as an example here.
Windows has been in business for about 12 years now. The primary part of our business is to help homeowners who have older single-pane windows. We come in with new energy-efficient windows and do an install in their home, a process we all call retrofit window replacement. What sets us apart?
I'm going to mute this, but you can see The footages start off with the owner in their showroom, and then followed by footages of the actual job site. People want to see faces. People want to see people installing windows, taking windows apart, if you're in the window industry. But people in general just want to see faces. And during all this time, Tim, the owner, is talking in the background, talking about who they are, what they do, how they're different, why people should buy from them. But within 1 short minute, people really get to know you a lot more. So definitely highly suggest you to have a video on your website. And in the past, it's pretty expensive to generate these business profile videos. But these days, it's really, the price has come down quite a bit. Roughly, probably you can hire a videographer in the area, probably about $500 to $1,000 to carve out this 1 minute business profile video. So it's not still money, but it's not like it's in the thousands and thousands. That's what it used to be for. But definitely highly suggest you to get a business profile video made. Okay, and again, let me go back to Gravinas as the example here and see whether they have a business profile video on their website. Okay, so let me go back to his website again. Okay, and again, I don't see a business profile video on here. Okay. Next would be specials and financing. And it's kind of interesting though. I think still we're kind of in a Groupon age these days. People love specials. So if you have any kind of rebates or specials from the manufacturers, or try to carve out your own specials, because after analyzing some of the websites out there, specials typically is, again, one of the top 5 most visited pages. People just love specials. They love deals. So definitely make sure you have a specials page on your website. It has to be very, very easy to find. And same thing if most or part of your purchases, especially for windows and doors or any type of service you provide, where it's pretty high ticket size, make sure it's very easy for people to find a financing page on your website. Okay. So let's go back to Gravinas again, and let's see if it's very easy to find specials. So I cannot find the specials page. And again, it needs to be somewhere on the top menu bar, and I don't find it. But I remember seeing it in About Us and in Specials. It's hidden. So again, this needs to be specials. Ideally, should be very visible, maybe to the left or to the left of free consultation. Next would be mobile-friendly website. And it really does depend on your type of services you provide. Okay, typically if it's non-emergency based service, if it's a very high ticket item, people typically use their desktop a lot more. So having a mobile website is not that super urgent right now. But if your service that you're providing, there seems to be a little more urgency. So for example, some of the window replacement companies, they also do glass repair, right? Glass repair should be something kind of quick. People just want to pull up their phone if they have a broken glass, and then they will use their mobile device and call you right away. But typically, the larger the average size, people tend to use their desktop a little bit more. So the urgency in getting a mobile website is not that critical. And there's 2 types of mobile-friendly websites that you could do right now. One of them is called responsive in design. Responsive design just simply means the website shrinks according to the size of your screen, which is actually the preferred format these days. That way, you don't need to have a dedicated desktop and a dedicated mobile website. So for example, if you look at Gravinas, this is a responsive in design website. It shrinks according to the size of my screen. right? So if I'm using my iPhone, for example, maybe the screen is only this. So the text is still very big, very easy to read, and everything just tiles and laid out in a very good format here. So that's still kind of the preferred format these days, but but that does require you from getting a new website altogether. It needs to be designed from scratch. So you need to have a website designer design the website from scratch and build it from scratch. But if your website currently is not mobile friendly, and you know that there's quite a bit of people coming to your website from mobile device, you can easily tell that by looking at your Google Analytics report and see how many people are coming from mobile device. If more than 20% of the people are coming from mobile device and your website is not mobile friendly, in the interim, you could do a patched mobile version. Patched mobile version would be like this, where it's a standalone mobile version, where you basically just provide them some snippets of information from your website. And it has big buttons they can click on. So ideally, you still want a responsive design website, but that does require you to design something from scratch. In the interim, if you don't have a mobile-friendly website, at least get a standalone mobile-friendly website. That shouldn't be hard to put up. Okay, so again, just testing out Gravina's, their website is already responsive design. And there's a tool you could do to test out whether your website is mobile friendly according to Google. So that's tested out with Gravina's. So let's enter this URL into this mobile friendly test. And let's click on Analyze here. Okay, so it'll take some time to pull, but it's typically pretty fast. And this will tell us whether the website is mobile friendly or not, or there's some fixes that need to be done. Maybe even though it's mobile friendly, it's not still eligible for a mobile device. Almost there. Okay, so maybe we'll come back to this shortly. Okay. So one thing I really encourage all of you to do is, if you have your Google Analytics report, is to go back. Oops, some errors here. Is to go back to your Google Analytics report and then look at devices. There's a tab on your Google Analytics report. Click on device, and then it will give you a breakdown of desktop, mobile, and tablet. So if you do see quite a few people are coming from mobile device, make sure to really get a mobile-friendly website. That should really increase the conversions. So unfortunately, this tool is taking a while to pull. I'll come back to this at the end. Next is page load time. Page load time is how fast does your website load. And there's a few tests out there you can do. And one of the very popular tool to test is this tool. It's web page test. So similar to that tool I just showed you, that mobile friendly test, you basically same thing, just type in your website in here and then start the test. Okay, and we'll let this run. So it's good. So you see that Google came back this tool and said that it's mobile friendly. Awesome, this page is mobile friendly. So it totally passed. So yeah, just go into Google Webmaster Tools mobile friendly test tool, and then type in your URL and see whether it's mobile friendly. Okay. Next is page load time. Page load time is basically how fast does your website load, and people's attention span is getting shorter and shorter these days. If your website does take a while to load, people, especially if they're using their mobile device where maybe all they have is just 4G or 3G network, it will take a while to load some certain pages on your website. Then people actually might just leave right away. So you can see based on this tool, Gravinas, they have a few F's and a couple A's here. So the whole goal here is not to get all aces, which is good. You might think you want to have all aces here, but it really does depend on whether you want high conversion or you just want a fast loading website. Because for example, compressed images. If we compress all the images on the website, then what that means is most of the pictures on the website will be very small and grainy, right? Then that doesn't give you a very high conversion rate. So the whole goal here is not to get to all aces, is to use this tool and work with the web developer and see whether you can get to as high of a score as possible. Okay, so for example, for this one, we got it to A's, B's, and 1D. You can see compressed images. We don't want to compress the pictures on the website too much, or else it will be very grainy and small. Okay, so highly suggest all of you to test out your website with this tool here. Next is About Us page. And really go back and audit your About Us page. Again, typically the About Us page is one of the most visited page, probably the top 5 most visited page. Go back to your website and look at it and see whether you cover all these 5 W's. Who are you? When basically means when did you start your business, and also your hours of operation. What do you do, right? Cover all the services you provide. And then where are you located, especially if you're drawing traffic to your showroom. And also let people know where do you service. And the most important here, again, is why. Why people should do business with you. So really go back and make sure all the 5 W's are covered here. And as I mentioned before, in the About Us page, people want to see faces. So make sure on your About Us page, if you can, minimally take a picture of all the staff together, or maybe just very similar to this, have pictures of the staff and also their bios. So let's go back to Gravinas again, and let's look at their About Us page. Okay, again, the About Us page is very, very feature focused, basically talking about what they do, right? All the services they provide, nothing about who they are, right? So again, very similarly, really go back and go back through the 5 W's, rewrite it if you need to, and then pictures of the staff, and maybe pictures of all the staff together, pictures of the showroom, and also pictures maybe of the external of your location, if you do have a showroom. Next is always of contact. Always of contact is simply how can people find you? And that might seem very intuitive, but if you look at your Contact Us page, again, you just want to make sure the form is on that Contact Us page, again, for people to fill out. You want to make sure your address is there. People can see where you're located, ideally with a Google map, and they can just hit directions, your hours of operation, and also an email for them to reach out to you. So let's take a look at Gravinas again. Let's look at his Contact Us page. Okay, so it's great that he has his address, phone number, hours of operation, and a map. And the Contact Us page is all the way towards the bottom. So if it were me, I would actually move this contact up here, leveraging this empty space here. So that way people don't need to go all the way down. And I would definitely trim this down to maybe 3 or 4 forms. Okay, so definitely go back and audit your Contact Us page and see whether you have all these covered. Lastly, here is to analyze your Google Analytics for engagement. So a lot of people don't do this. Google Analytics, if you don't have it installed on your website, definitely need to put it on your website, install it. It's a free tool provided by Google. And it is kind of like think it as a live feedback tool to first of all show you where the traffic is coming from. So for example, you get to see how many people are coming to your website. And from an engagement point of view, you get to see how well engaged are they with the website. How long are they staying on the website, right? The longer they stay on the website, the more engaged they are with the content with their website. So by adding videos, by adding testimonials, pictures, before and after pictures, it does encourage them to stay on your website longer. So the industry average is about a minute and 30 seconds. That's an industry average. So minimally, you want to make sure your average session is longer than a minute and 30 seconds. And you want them to go deeper on your website. So this is pages per session. So ideally, the deeper they go on your website, the better it is. That means they're going to many pages. They're going to About Us, they're going to Source, going to Specials. So ideally, the deeper they go, the better it is. And so this is very high level. But you can also get a breakdown for every page they land on. So typically, I'll look at the top 10 most visited pages and see each page breaking down page by page and look at the sessions on that particular page. So for example, we see that the second most visited page is the gallery page. And once people get on there, unfortunately, they're only spending about 10 seconds on that page and they left. That gives us indication of, hey, we got to add a lot more pictures to this page because people want to see pictures, right? So this is really a live feedback. So to me, a website should really be kind of a little bit ongoing improvement based on Google Analytics, which is basically give you a free live feedback as to how good your website is. Okay. So definitely encourage you to look at your analytics. Typically, I look at a few metrics here. I look at number of unique users to the website. How long are they spending on the website? I don't look at bounce rate too much. Bounce rate is once they get on your website, they bounce right off without going to any other pages on your website. So this really depends on the purpose of your website. If once people get on the homepage, they already found your phone number, right? Because the homepage has everything that they need. They're ready to call you, so they will call you, and then they will leave, right? They'll exit out. So now I just created a higher bounce rate because that person left right away. So I'm not too keen on bounce rate because if you have a very good landing page, a very good homepage, people will be calling you right away. There's no reason for them to really go very deep on your website. So typically, if you look at a website, typically the bounce rate usually is pretty much about 30 to 70%. That's roughly the range on most of the websites out there. And if it starts to get like 80% or higher, then you might want to watch out and see why are that many people bouncing off. Okay. So that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I see a few questions here, Walton, I can read off.
Please.
Should we add a tracking number to our website?
That's very interesting. So I will say yes and no. The reason I say yes and no is it's getting harder and harder to track where the lead is coming from. Today, if we add a tracking number, for example, Gravinas, let's pull up his website one more time here. If we put a tracking number on his website, okay, for example, this is a tracking number here, 720. And a lot of times, people are going to go on other sources just to check out how good they are. Maybe they'll go on Yelp, go on BBB, go on other sources. Now, because that number doesn't follow them around, then you might seem like, oh, the website is not working. But in reality, the website is working because people are going to other sources to check out how good you are. So it's very hard to know where the leads are coming these days because people really do a lot more homework before they call you. So, but minimally, still is good to put some form of tracking number on your website, at least minimally just to see where the leads is coming from, at least from the website. But if you're not getting a lot of leads from the website, I wouldn't be alarmed because these days people do go on Yelp, go on Angie's List, go on other sources just to check out how good they are. And the other thing here is there's different types of tracking number. There's a tracking number you can get that just replaces your phone number altogether. So this might become a tracking number, and it always stays the same. There are some other systems out there that are dynamic phone numbers. Dynamic phone numbers means that every time somebody comes in, it automatically replaces this number. But there's a drawback to that kind of system because sometimes people might just write down that phone number and then maybe call you a week or two later. And then now that phone number, if they dial it again, it gets recycled with another company. So when you call that number, now it goes to another company. So I don't, highly encourage to get a dynamic number. Those are a little bit harder. But the reason people use dynamic number is you get to backtrack to see where exactly that lead came from. Maybe that lead came from organic, that lead came from pay-per-click ads, maybe that lead came from Yelp. You could track that. And that is based on a dynamic number because every time somebody comes in, the phone number changes. So you get to track where the lead is coming from. A little bit more better, but again, because the phone number keeps on changing, if your sales cycle typically is a few weeks out, that number will now be recycled. So I don't highly encourage to use dynamic numbers. Good. Any other questions?
Yep, there's another one here. We have a viewer who is wondering what number 1, number 2, and number 5 are again, and if you could just show the list of 1 through 10.
Sorry, I don't have them in a good format here. So first of all, it's call to action. Call to action is make sure subliminally you're telling them what they need to do next. So this is definitely the most critical. Ideally should be on the top right hand corner. Number 2 is unique selling proposition, which is something that you want to make sure it's very easy to tell them why you are different, whether it's in graphical format or whether it's in bullet point. But you want to show off and tell people why you are different compared to your competitors. So number 1, number 2, and what else? I'm sorry?
Number 5.
Number 5. Number 5 is special offers. So you want to make sure your offers are very easy to find, maybe somewhere on your homepage, but ideally you should have a separate page on your website that's dedicated to specials. And the specials tab should be very easy to find, ideally on the top menu bar. So that way people can just click on specials. And also if your business heavily relies on financing, make sure again to let people know some of the financing options you have. Okay.
Great, thank you.
And I will make sure to, this is recorded, so I'll make sure to send it out to everybody so you can go through the checklist one more time.
Great, thank you. Another question here is, what is the best way to get legit reviews on Yelp or Google Business / Google+?
Yep. So this is a very, very interesting question. So I'll definitely, in next month, I'll be talking a lot more about Yelp reviews, but that is true for all other sources of reviews. These days, it's very, very hard to get reviews. For example, for the home improvement industries. It's not like restaurants where naturally they get a lot of reviews day in and day out. There's two easier ways to get reviews. What's being demonstrated to work the best is after a job is completed, what you want to do is send that person a thank you email. So you want to thank them for their business. And then right below that is we really appreciate if you can leave us a feedback on Yelp. And there's a link they can directly click on to go over to your Yelp page and leave your review. So I would definitely highly encourage everybody to send out a thank you email. And again, by sending out that thank you email, you also get feedback right away if something went wrong with the job. So you can actually fix it right away before they start going on these reputational management sites and start venting. So definitely I will start sending out thank you emails. And of course is to train your staff to ask for reviews. After a job is done, maybe during the final walkthrough, is after you leave or right before you leave, is again just ask them, can you please leave us a review on Yelp or Google+. So I think probably two of the biggest sources I would go after right now would be Yelp, followed by Google+. And if you're in the Midwest or in the East Coast where there's a lot more Angie's List subscribers, I would also focus on Angie's List quite aggressively as well. But in October, I will definitely give you a lot more tips as to get more reviews, and I'll show you some of the templates that we use to get more reviews for our customers. Yep.
Thanks so much. Another question here is, when all 10 of these are implemented, what's the typical conversion rate?
Very, very good question. So typically, this really depends on your industry. If the service is very, very niched, or so for example, if you're offering something that's very niched, such as bifold doors, right? There's not that many people that's offering bifold doors. And if you're advertising for bifold doors, it's something very, very niche, then the conversion rate should be higher, right? So it really does depend, but typically we do shoot for about 10% conversion rate. What that means is for every 10 people that came to your website, ideally one of them should be turning into a form of lead, whether it's a phone call or it's a lead contact form. So industry average, typically I would say about 5 or a little less than 5%, but by implementing these should get you closer to 10%. And we do have a 37-point checklist that we go through. And if you want, just shoot me an email or call us. We will do an audit of your website with that 37-point checklist, which does go a lot more in details. And hopefully by implementing all those 37 factors, the conversion rate should be a little bit closer to 15%. Okay, good question. Any other questions?
There is one more here. What is the difference between a bounce rate and an exit rate?
Okay, very, very good question. So on Google Analytics, if you break it down page by page, it will show you the bounce rate and the exit rate. Bounce rate means that is the page they land on and they left. Okay, so that's the only page they land on your website. So for example, let's pull up Gravina's again. Okay, so if I go to the about, let's go to the Windows page, replacement Windows page, because I came from the home page first, and then I went to replacement Windows page, and I exited right away, okay? Or I exited, this is the last page I visited. That would count as an exit rate. So you get to see if a lot of people, after they came to the site, subsequently maybe they're going to a certain page on your website, and that page has pretty high exit rate. That means that page is not in tune with what they're looking for. Maybe it's a little too technical. It's not the information you're looking for. But exit rate is the last page they visited. Bounce rate means that's the first page they visited, and that's the only page they visited and they left. So example here is I went straight to Gravina's Windows page, and then I exited. So that will increase both the bounce rate and the exit rate, because that's the last page I visited, and that's also the first page and the last page I visited. So again, this really does depend on what you're after. So if you have a very, very good landing page, right? So if you send people directly to a page on your website. So for example, maybe a lot of people are looking for replacement windows. and this page maybe is organically ranked pretty high, or you're sending pay-per-click ad traffic directly to this page. And that's assuming this page is very high conversion, right? You have the phone number here, they have a form to fill out, you have a lot of good before and after pictures here. Then it doesn't, they don't need to go to any other pages on your website now. They can call you directly, and then they left. So now that means that page has high exit rate and high bounce rate, but in reality, they actually called you already. So that's why I'm not very keen on looking at bounce rate and exit rate too much. But of course, it starts to get pretty high, then that's something to worry about. But if you have a very, very good landing page, you would expect to be very, very high exit rate and bounce rate. Same thing with contact page. Contact page typically has high exit rate and high bounce rate, right? Because people came here, they're just looking up your phone number, and then they left. So of course, it's natural to have your contact us page to have very high bounce rate and high exit rate. Okay, very good question. Any other questions?
Yes. Have you heard of Guild Quality for Reviews, and is this something you might be discussing in your October presentation?
Yes. So I will definitely cover that in the October presentation. But today, I would say more from a credibility source point of view, Yelp is still the most trusted. People tend to trust the reviews on Yelp a lot more compared to other sources. So Guild Quality basically goes out and solicits reviews from your customers, and then they post it on Guild Quality. But not too many people know Guild Quality, even though you have a lot of 5-star reviews on there, which is great. But again, from credibility point of view, it doesn't carry a lot of social proof compared to if you were to get more reviews on Yelp, right? And Yelp, once you have more reviews on Yelp, naturally people go directly on Yelp will find you. People don't naturally go on Guild Quality to look for your services. So today, if it were me, I would really focus on getting more reviews on Yelp compared to other sources. Okay, very good question.
Thanks so much. Well,
okay, and the last thing I just want to share with you is if you do want us to do an audit of your website, just let me know. Just put it in the comment box or shoot us an email, and we'll be glad to go through the more in-depth 37-point checklist with you. Thank you all so much for your time, and if you have any more questions, let us know, and we'll also be sending out a recorded video of this webinar. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.